The scorching sun beat down on the bustling streets of Lagos, a vibrant tapestry of commerce and life. Amidst the organized chaos, a young boy named Emeka, barely 11, swept the polished marble floor of a towering corporate building, his bare feet leaving faint trails on the immaculate surface. His worn Ankara shorts and faded t-shirt were a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding him. He worked with a quiet diligence, his dark eyes focused, a weight of responsibility far beyond his years resting on his small shoulders. "Emeka, move aside. Important people are coming through," bellowed Chief Olumide, a man whose agbada flowed like liquid silk and whose watch alone could feed a family for a year. Chief Olumide, the magnate behind Olumide Holdings, had built an empire on real estate and telecommunications. To him, individuals like Emeka were mere furniture, to be present but never seen. Emeka quickly stepped aside, murmuring a barely audible apology. His hands, chapped from harsh detergents and constant scrubbing, worked tirelessly. His mother, Mama Nyozi, patched his trousers each night, a silent act of love against the gnawing poverty that clung to their small compound in Mushin. "Madam, tell these cleaners to stay out of the way when I arrive," thundered Chief Olumide's executive assistant, Bola, as she entered the opulent main office. Bola, 32, had navigated Chief Olumide's explosive temper and cutting remarks for 6 years. "Chief Olumide, the boy is only doing his job," Bola said, her voice measured. "He comes at dawn to clean before the staff arrive. And that matters to me?" Chief Olumide scoffed, dropping his expensive leather briefcase onto his mahogany desk. "I don't care about his story. I just want him out of my sight while he works." What Chief Olumide didn't know was that Emeka wasn't a formal employee. He was the son of Mama Ngozi, who had been a cleaner at Olumide Holdings for 3 years. Mama Ngozi, 35, was the sole provider since her husband, Baba Emeka, suffered a debilitating accident that left him unable to do heavy labor. Baba Emeka now sold puff-puff and chin-chin at traffic junctions, earning just enough for his medication. Emeka accompanied his mother each morning because there was no one to leave him with. School had become a distant dream after his father's medical bills consumed their meager savings. But Emeka didn't just sit idly. He helped his mother, carrying buckets of water, organizing cleaning supplies, sweeping corridors with a focus that belied his age. "Mama," Emeka whispered as Mama Ngozi appeared with her cleaning cart. "That man is angry again." Mama Ngozi glanced towards Chief Olumide's office and sighed. "Don't worry, my child. We just need to do our work well and stay out of trouble. Some people, Emeka, haven't learned that everyone deserves respect. But that doesn't mean we should be like them, understand?" Emeka nodded, a quiet determination flickering in his dark eyes, a resolve Mama Ngozi recognized because it was the same she carried when facing life's challenges. The day passed uneventfully until noon, when a special courier arrived with a large, heavy package, sealed with multiple security locks and marked confidential. "Delivery for Chief Olumide," the courier announced at reception. Bola signed for it and personally delivered the package to Chief Olumide's office. It was a sleek, portable safe, its front panel adorned with a sophisticated electronic interface. Alongside it was an envelope containing documents. "What in thunder is this?" Chief Olumide demanded as he opened the envelope. His confusion morphed into utter astonishment as he read. The safe contained bearer bonds worth 100 million naira. It was part of an unexpected inheritance from a distant uncle who had died intestate. Chief Olumide had been located as a potential heir, but with a peculiar condition. The safe had a unique security mechanism. A series of mathematical and logical puzzles had to be solved to open it. No digital password, no traditional combination. Tampering with it would trigger self-destruction. The challenge was deliberately designed by the eccentric uncle, who believed only the truly intelligent deserved the inheritance. "This is ridiculous," Chief Olumide muttered, examining the panel. Numbers, mathematical symbols, and a complex equation that shifted with each press. He summoned his team of executives, 3 men in sharp suits, armed with impressive degrees. For an hour, they grappled with the mechanism, trying combinations, searching for patterns, consulting the internet. Nothing worked. "There must be a way," Chief Olumide declared, pounding his desk in frustration. 100 million naira cannot be locked away, inaccessible. "Why don't we call a safe expert?" one executive suggested. "Already tried," Chief Olumide snapped. "The manufacturer says it's a custom model, one of a kind. They have no tools to open it without destroying it." News of the mysterious safe and its fortune spread like wildfire through the building. Employees from all departments buzzed with speculation. Some discreetly offered ideas to Chief Olumide's office, only to be met with his dismissive anger. "Do you think I'm stupid?" he'd yell. "I've tried all those basic options. This requires more than simple math." Emeka, cleaning the corridor near the office, overheard snippets of the conversation. His natural curiosity drew him closer when Chief Olumide briefly stepped out for coffee. Through the partially opened door, he saw the safe on the desk. The panel displayed a sequence of numbers that seemed to follow a pattern. Emeka, who had shown an exceptional aptitude for mathematics before leaving school, felt a flicker of recognition. It was like the puzzles his teacher, Mr. Adebayo, used to give him. "Hey you," a voice startled him. It was one of the executives. "What are you doing lurking there? Don't you have work to do?" "Sorry, sir," Emeka mumbled, lowering his gaze and quickly moving away with his rag. But his mind raced. Prime numbers? Fibonacci sequences? Geometry? His brain automatically began processing the problem, even as he swept the floor. Chief Olumide returned, his frustration mounting. Hours had passed, and none of his highly paid executives could crack the puzzle. His pride was wounded. How could he, a successful businessman, not access his own inheritance? "This is humiliating," he grumbled, his employees watching in silence. "All of you with your master's degrees, and none of you can solve a simple riddle." Bola, observing from her desk, dared to suggest, "Chief Olumide, perhaps we should take a break. Sometimes solutions appear when we stop forcing them." "Rest?" Chief Olumide glared. 100 million naira is locked inside, and you suggest I rest? His frustration peaked as the last executive admitted defeat. In a fit of rage and desperation, Chief Olumide made a decision that would change everything. He strode out of his office to the common area where employees had gathered. His presence silenced them. "Listen, everyone," he declared, his voice booming. "I have a safe in my office, containing 100 million naira. None of my executives could open it. So, here's my offer." He paused dramatically. "I will give 1 million naira to anyone who can open it. 1 million naira. Cash." Excited murmurs rippled through the crowd. People began planning their newfound wealth. Chief Olumide smiled, thinking he'd found the perfect solution. Then, he saw Emeka standing quietly in a corner, rag in hand. In a moment of sheer arrogance, he decided to make it a cruel spectacle. "Actually," he boomed, raising his voice further, "extend the offer. If even this boy can open it," he pointed directly at Emeka, "I will give him the entire 100 million naira, the full 100 million. The office erupted in laughter. It was clearly a cruel joke, mocking the idea that a poor, barefoot child could succeed where educated executives had failed. "Imagine," Chief Olumide continued, feeding off the laughter, "a cleaner solving what mathematicians couldn't. It would be the joke of the century." Mama Ngozi, who had been cleaning windows nearby, felt her heart ache. She wanted to rush to her son, to protect him from this public humiliation. But Emeka looked at her and gave a slight nod, a silent reassurance. "Sir," Emeka spoke, his voice clear and respectful, surprising everyone. "Are you serious?" Chief Olumide looked at him with a mixture of amusement and disdain. "Of course, I'm serious, boy. If you can open that safe, I'll give you everything inside. 100 million naira. And if you can't," he sneered, "you'll go back to cleaning floors, as you should." He offered a cruel smile. "Do you accept the deal?" Emeka glanced at his mother, tears welling in her eyes, but she gave a nearly imperceptible nod. The boy knew this could be the greatest humiliation of his life, but he also knew something no one else in that room knew. He had seen the pattern in those numbers and believed he could solve it. "I accept," Emeka said firmly. The office exploded in a mix of laughter and jeers. Employees pulled out their phones, certain they were about to witness a moment of pure embarrassment. Chief Olumide practically roared with laughter. "Excellent," he exclaimed. "I'm going to enjoy this. Bola, bring the boy to my office. Let's watch this spectacle." As Emeka walked towards the office, his small hands clenched the rag. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with excitement and determination. He had spent so long being invisible, treated as if he didn't matter. Now, he had a chance to prove that intelligence has nothing to do with the money you have or the clothes you wear. Chief Olumide was about to receive the most expensive and humbling lesson of his life, courtesy of the barefoot boy he had despised. The wager was made, and nothing would ever be the same. Chief Olumide's office had transformed into a circus. Employees crowded the doorway, craning their necks, while others filmed from every angle. The scene was absurd. A barefoot boy in patched clothes facing a high-tech safe that had defeated university-educated executives. "Give way for the genius," Chief Olumide said sarcastically, gesturing grandly for Emeka to approach the desk. We wouldn't want him distracted during his magic act. Laughter filled the room. Emeka walked slowly, feeling the weight of all those eyes. Bola watched from her desk, her expression a mixture of pity and curiosity. Mamangozi stood in the corridor, unable to enter, but unable to leave. Well, Master, Chief Olumide continued, crossing his arms and leaning back in his leather chair. You have all the time in the world, though I suppose sweeping floors hasn't given you much experience with advanced technology. Emeka stood before the safe, ignoring the comments, his eyes fixed on the electronic panel. The numbers danced on the screen. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, prime numbers. Exactly what he'd suspected. But it wasn't just that. Already given up. One executive taunted from the doorway. No shame in admitting this is too much for you. Emeka didn't respond. His small finger, still bearing faint traces of dirt under the nails despite washing his hands, touched the screen gently. The numbers changed. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, Fibonacci. His former teacher, Mr. Adebayo, had taught him that sequence. He's just pressing buttons randomly. Someone scoffed. This is going to end badly. But Bola, with a better view of the panel, noticed something different. The boy wasn't pressing buttons haphazardly. His movements were deliberate, calculated. There was a pattern. Chief Olumide also began to notice. His smirk faded slightly as he saw the absolute concentration on Emeka's face. This wasn't the expression of someone lost. It was the look of someone solving a problem he understood. Hold on a moment, Chief Olumide leaned forward. You actually know what you're doing. Emeka didn't reply. His eyes darted between different sections of the panel, identifying intertwining patterns. Not just one sequence, but several working simultaneously. Prime numbers in one column, Fibonacci in another, and something in the third that took him a moment to recognize. Perfect squares, he murmured. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. In his mind, Emeka revisited afternoons at his old school, when Mr. Adebayo stayed after class to teach him math puzzles. Mathematics is the universal language. Emeka, Mr. Adebayo used to say. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you wear. Numbers don't discriminate. That teacher had seen something special in him, had even helped with scholarship applications to private schools. But then Baba Emeka's accident happened, and everything had to be set aside. Hey, Chief Olumide's voice broke through his thoughts. I asked you a question. Do you know what you're doing, or are you just wasting my time? I'm working on it, sir, Emeka replied without looking up. Chief Olumide let out a short, nervous laugh. For the first time since his cruel wager, a sliver of unease pricked him. Surely, the boy couldn't actually. It was impossible. Just a lucky guess identifying a few basic sequences. Emeka pressed a series of numbers in a specific order. The panel emitted a soft sound, different from the error beeps when the executives had tried. It was a confirmation tone. What was that? An employee asked. Nothing. Probably another error, Chief Olumide replied, though his voice lacked its usual conviction. Bola moved closer, fascinated. She'd worked in that office long enough to recognize Chief Olumide's anxiety. His foot tapped incessantly. Emeka continued. The panel now displayed a new layer of complexity. Geometric symbols, triangles, circles, squares, each with a number inside. A puzzle within a puzzle. This is ridiculous. Chief Olumide stood up. It's been 10 minutes. Admit you have no idea what you're doing and let's end this. Let him try, Bola said softly. You yourself gave him all the time he needs. Chief Olumide looked at her, surprised. Bola never contradicted him openly, especially not in front of others. But something about the situation compelled her to defend the boy. Fine. Chief Olumide sat down, crossing his legs irritably. But this is a waste of time. Emeka blocked out the surrounding noise, the murmurs, the stifled laughter, the sarcastic comments. He focused solely on the panel. The geometric symbols corresponded to numbers in specific ways. A triangle had 3 sides, a square 4. The circle represented infinity, or perhaps 0. He pressed the sequence, circle, triangle, triangle, square, triangle, following the pattern he'd identified. Another confirmation tone echoed from the safe. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the laughter had ceased. What's happening? Someone whispered from the back. Chief Olumide shot out of his chair. It can't be. It's impossible. But the panel was changing. Red lights began turning yellow. Emeka had passed 2 levels of security. Only one remained. Pure luck, Chief Olumide muttered, his voice trembling slightly. There's no way a child. He stopped as he saw what appeared on the panel. The final stage wasn't pure mathematics. It was a logic puzzle combined with sequences. It required abstract thinking, connecting seemingly unrelated patterns. Emeka read the riddle. John's father has 3 sons. The first is named Monday, the second is named Tuesday. What is the name of the third? It was deceptively simple. Most would say Wednesday, following the days of the week, but Emeka smiled slightly. The answer was in the question itself. John, he said quietly, typing the name into the panel. The safe emitted a series of mechanical clicks. The yellow lights turned green. The panel displayed a message. A CSAS. Granted. The room fell into a deathly silence. No, Chief Olumide whispered, his face draining of color. No, no, no. Emeka stepped back, looking at the now unlocked safe. He didn't open it further, simply turned to Chief Olumide. I solved it, sir, he said calmly. You can check. Chief Olumide approached the safe as if in a trance. His hands trembled as he touched the handle. The door swung open smoothly, revealing stacks of bearer bonds. Exactly as the document stated, 100 million naira in negotiable certificates. The silence was broken by the sound of a dropped phone. Then another. The employees who had been recording were so stunned they forgot to hold their devices. He did it, Bola whispered, hand to her mouth. He actually did it. Chief Olumide stared into the safe, his mind unable to process what had just happened. The boy he had publicly humiliated, the boy he had mocked, the boy he had treated as invisible for months, had just solved a puzzle his highest-paid executives couldn't decipher. This is cheating, he finally declared, his voice hollow. Someone told him the answers. They must have. Chief Olumide, Bola spoke firmly. We were all here. No one told him anything. The boy solved it himself. Then it was luck. Pure, blind luck. Luck across 3 different levels of puzzles? A skeptical employee interjected, having watched closely. Each level required different reasoning. That's not luck. Emeka stood still, watching Chief Olumide unravel. He felt no triumph, only a deep sadness at seeing an adult refuse to accept reality. Mama Ngozi finally entered the office, tears streaming down her face. She knelt beside her son and hugged him tightly. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. Mama, did I really do it? Emeka asked, as if processing it himself. You did, my love, you did. Chief Olumide watched them, his mind racing. He had made that wager publicly, before dozens of witnesses. Many had recorded it. He couldn't back down now without destroying his reputation. This doesn't count, he said desperately. It was a joke. Nobody takes those kinds of bets seriously. You said you were serious, Emeka replied, meeting his gaze directly. I asked twice, and you confirmed. He's a child. Contracts with minors aren't valid, but public promises are, Bola interjected, especially when there's video evidence. Chief Olumide looked at her with betrayal. Which side are you on? The side of what's right, she answered without hesitation. You made a public wager. The boy fulfilled his part. Now it's your turn to fulfill yours. Employees began murmuring, some retrieving their phones, not to record, but to review the videos. The evidence was clear and undeniable. Chief Olumide slumped into his chair, burying his face in his hands. 100 million naira, more than some of his businesses earned in a year. Not an amount he could easily ignore or replace. I need to speak with my lawyers, he finally said. With all due respect, sir, spoke Mr. Adekunle, the company's senior accountant, a respected man of integrity. You made a public wager, and the boy won it cleanly. You too, Adekunle. Everyone is turning against me. It's not turning against you, it's recognizing facts. If you retract now, you'll lose something far more valuable than money. Your word. Chief Olumide looked around the room. His employees watched with a mixture of disappointment and expectation. He knew Mr. Adekunle was right. If he didn't honor his word, he would lose credibility in the business world forever. Give me time to think, he said finally. I need to process this. Take the time you need, Mama Ngozi spoke for the first time, her voice firm despite her tears. But my son fulfilled his end of the bargain. We expect you to do the same. Mother and son withdrew, followed by the gazes of everyone present. As they left, conversations erupted. Employees debated the events, the implications, the sheer incredulity. Bola approached Chief Olumide, who remained motionless. Sir, you need to make a decision soon. This is already spreading on social media. What? Several employees uploaded the videos. There are thousands of views already. People are asking what will happen if you'll keep your promise. Chief Olumide felt the world crumbling. Not only had he lost an impossible bet, but it was now public. Thousands were watching, waiting to see what kind of man he truly was. Mr. Adekunle stayed after everyone else had left. "Olumide," he said, using his first name for the first time in years. "I know that boy and his mother. They've worked here a long time. They are good people who have been through very difficult times. And what does that matter? It matters because you have an opportunity to do something extraordinary. Not just fulfill a promise, but change lives. Or you can be the man who humiliated a child and then denied him his winnings." Precisely. Chief Olumide remained seated, staring at the open safe, the bearer bonds glinting. He realized in one year, old boy had just taught him the most humbling lesson of his life. Night had fallen over Lagos as Mama Ngozi and Emeka finally arrived at their small compound in the suburbs. The bus ride had been silent, both still processing the day's events. The cool night air was a stark contrast to the suffocating heat of the office. Baba Emeka waited at the door, leaning on his cane, his right leg barely supporting his weight. "What happened? I received messages saying Emeka is all over the internet." Mama Ngozi embraced her husband, tears of overwhelming emotion finally flowing. "Daddy," Emeka said softly, "I solved a riddle nobody could solve. A riddle worth 100 million naira." Baba Emeka looked to his wife for confirmation. Mama Ngozi nodded, still unable to form coherent words. Her husband sank into the single chair in their tiny living room. "Tell me everything," he finally said. As Emeka recounted the day's events, his voice gained confidence. He spoke of prime numbers, Fibonacci, John's riddle. Baba Emeka listened, his eyes widening, recognizing in his son a brilliance that circumstances had prevented from flourishing. "I always knew you were special," Baba Emeka said when Emeka finished, his own eyes welling up. "Your teacher, Mr. Adebayo, he told me every time I saw him, 'This boy will be someone great,' he'd repeat. But Papa, Chief Olumide doesn't want to pay. He says it was a joke. Then he is not a man of his word," Baba Emeka replied with surprising firmness. But the truth always comes out. What they didn't know was that the truth was already exploding online. In his luxurious penthouse, Chief Olumide couldn't sleep. The panoramic city view seemed to mock him. His phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from partners, messages from family, social media notifications. He had tried turning it off, but the anxiety was worse. At 2 a.m., he surrendered and opened his phone. He went cold. The video had exploded. Not thousands, but millions of views. The clip of his cruel wager, over 3 million. The video of Emeka opening the safe, 5 million. The comments were devastating. "This man is cruelty defined. That boy is a genius, and this guy just wants to humiliate him. If he doesn't pay, he should go to jail. Does anyone know where this man works? We need justice." Cold sweat trickled down Chief Olumide's back. This wasn't just a personal reputation problem, it was a crisis that could destroy everything he'd built. He dialed his lawyer, Alberto Ruiz. "Olumide, it's 2 a.m. "Alberto, this is an emergency. Did you see the videos?" A long sigh from the other end. "I saw them. The whole country saw them. I need legal options. There has to be a way to annul this." "Olumide, listen carefully." Alberto's voice lost its sleepiness. "Technically, a public verbal wager with witnesses and video evidence holds legal weight, especially when both parties fulfilled their end. Both parties? He's a child who did exactly what you asked. He opened the safe. You promised 100 million naira. There are witnesses, video, proof." Chief Olumide walked to the window. "So, what do you recommend?" "As your lawyer, paying is the least damaging option. As your friend, it's the right thing to do." 100 million naira, Alberto. That's not pocket change. I know, but the cost of not paying will be far greater. There are online petitions calling for a boycott of your company. Clients are questioning doing business with someone like you. Your reputation is worth more than 100 million. Chief Olumide hung up without saying goodbye. The glass reflected a man he didn't recognize. Disheveled, dark circles under his eyes, defeated. His phone vibrated. A message from his older sister, Gabriela, in Spain. "Olumide, I just saw the videos. What have you become?" Mother would be ashamed. That phrase hit him harder than any online comment. His mother, who had cleaned houses to pay for his education, had been like Mama Ngozi, hard-working, dignified, sacrificial. For the first time in years, Chief Olumide wept. At dawn, Lagos awoke to headlines. "Millionaire humiliates child genius, refuses to pay." Emeka, The 1-1-year-old who solved the impossible. Justice for Emeka. Thousands demand businessman keep his word. At Emeka's former school, Mr. Adebayo arrived early. A colleague stopped him, showing him the video. Mr. Adebayo, isn't that your former student, Emeka Silva? The teacher adjusted his glasses, his eyes tearing up as he saw his former student solving puzzles with the same focus he displayed in class. It's him, he whispered. I knew he was brilliant, but this is extraordinary. Why did he leave school? Family problems. His father had an accident. They needed money. I tried getting him scholarships, but the process is slow, and the need was urgent. Mr. Adebayo sat at his desk, an idea forming. He picked up his phone and began making calls. If the businessman wouldn't do the right thing, he would ensure Emeka received the opportunities he deserved elsewhere. At Olamide Holdings, the atmosphere was tense. Bola was among the first to arrive, finding a crowd of journalists at the entrance. Is it true your boss humiliated a child? Will he keep his promise? Where is Chief Olumide? She navigated the cameras silently, her heart pounding. She'd never seen anything like it. The reception area resembled a media war zone. Mr. Adekunle was already in his office, looking exhausted. Bola, this has spiraled out of control, he said without preamble. 3 major clients have called to cancel contracts. The company's image is in total crisis, all because of one man's arrogance. Do you think he'll pay? Mr. Adekunle sighed. I've known Olumide for 20 years. He's proud, stubborn, sometimes cruel, but not stupid. He'll eventually see he has no choice. At 9 a.m., Chief Olumide arrived, wearing dark glasses and a cap, attempting anonymity. It failed. Journalists swarmed him. Chief Olumide, will you keep your promise? What do you say to people calling for a boycott? Do you regret humiliating Emeka? He pushed inside without a word, camera flashes like gunfire. In his office, Mr. Adekunle waited. We need to talk now. Chief Olumide removed his glasses, revealing red, swollen eyes. Alberto, please, don't start. 3 clients cancelled this morning. Another 5 are re-evaluating business relations. Our subsidiary stocks are falling. Employees are afraid of losing their jobs. Why? This is a personal bet. It has nothing to do with the company. It has everything to do with the company when its CEO is its face. Olumide, I'll tell you something no one else has the courage to say. Your mother cleaned houses so you could study. She worked on her knees so you could wear a tie. And now you're looking down on a woman doing the exact same for her son. The silence in the room was absolute. Mama Ngozi is like your mother from 30 years ago. Emeka is you at 11, with talent needing opportunity. The difference is, your mother found people who respected her. Will you be the one to deny another child that opportunity? Chief Olumide felt air knocked from his lungs. He'd never made the connection, but now it was undeniable. I need time to think, he whispered. You don't have time, the head of finance interjected. 3 major contracts expire tomorrow. They're waiting to see how you resolve this before signing. We're talking 200 million naira at stake. 200 million? Chief Olumide looked up sharply. Yes. So the real question is, are you going to lose 200 million to avoid paying 100? The irony was brutal. Chief Olumide had bet 100 million thinking he could never lose. Now, losing it might save him 200 million. But beyond the numbers, something else weighed on his conscience. The image of his mother, kneeling, cleaning, Mama Ngozi, doing the same. Emeka, that brilliant talent hidden behind patched clothes and cracked hands. I want to talk to the boy, he finally said. Arrange a private meeting. Just him, his mother, and me. Bola nodded. I'll try, sir, but I don't know if they'll accept. Let them know I want to apologize. Truly. For the first time in days, a flicker of hope appeared on his employees' faces. Maybe their boss wasn't entirely lost. The question was, would it be enough? The meeting was set for 5 p.m. the next day at the neutral office of a public notary, Mr. Adekunle, a 70-year-old man of impeccable reputation. Bola had suggested the location to ensure both parties felt secure, away from cameras. Mama Ngozi hadn't slept, wrestling with whether this was another humiliation or genuine reconciliation. We have to go, Carlos had told her that morning over weak coffee. If we don't, we'll always wonder. Besides, Emeka deserves to hear what that man has to say. Emeka was unusually quiet as they prepared. He wore his best clothes, special occasion trousers and a perfectly ironed shirt. He looked in the small, cracked bathroom mirror, trying to tame his unruly curls. You look very handsome, my love, Mama Ngozi said, her voice trembling. Mama, do you think he really wants to apologize? Mama Ngozi knelt, taking his small hands. I don't know, Emeka, but no matter what happens today, you proved something no one can take away. You are brilliant, brave, and worthy of respect. And if he doesn't keep his promise, we move on. Mr. Adekunle has already secured those scholarships. Your future doesn't depend on him, it depends on you. Emeka nodded, but Mama Ngozi saw the lingering hope in his eyes. That childlike belief that adults always keep their word broke her heart, because she knew the world didn't always work that way. Chief Olumide arrived 30 minutes early, accompanied only by Mr. Adekunle. He'd refused lawyers or PR advisors. This had to be personal. Notary Adekunle greeted them with professional courtesy in his traditional office, the air thick with the scent of old paper and ink. Chief Olumide, he said, I hope this meeting will be productive. That is my wish too, Chief Olumide replied, his voice humbler than Mr. Adekunle had ever heard. He looked different, sleep-deprived, unshaven, his suit rumpled. He was simply an exhausted, defeated man. I've prepared a document, Adekunle said, showing papers. So if an agreement is reached, it's formally registered. Chief Olumide nodded, each word a reminder of his arrogance. A formal agreement with an 1-1-year old because he'd been so conceited it required legal protection against him. The sound of the door startled him. 5 p.m. Mama Ngozi, Carlos, and Emeka had arrived. As the two families met in the notary's conference room, the tension was palpable. Emeka stayed slightly behind his mother, his dark eyes observing Chief Olumide with curiosity and caution. Carlos leaned on his cane, jaw tight. He wanted to hate the man who had humiliated his son, but Chief Olumide's expression confused him. He saw no arrogance now, only shame. Thank you for coming. Chief Olumide's voice was hoarse. I know you have no reason to trust me. No, we don't, Carlos replied directly. You humiliated my son in front of dozens of people. You made a cruel bet thinking you'd never lose, and when you lost, you tried to escape. Chief Olumide lowered his gaze. You are absolutely right. Then why are we here? Mama Ngozi asked, her voice firm despite her nervousness. Because I need to say something I should have said days ago. Chief Olumide looked up, his eyes moist. I'm sorry. I apologize to Emeka, to you, Mama Ngozi, to your family. What I did was unforgivable. The silence was broken only by the ticking clock. Emeka stepped forward, surprising his mother. Why did you do it? Why were you so bad to me? The question, delivered with a child's brutal honesty, struck Chief Olumide harder than any adult accusation. Because I am a man who forgot where he came from, Emeka, he replied, his voice cracking. My mother cleaned houses, just like your mother. She worked on her knees so I could study. And somewhere along the way, when I became successful, I forgot all that. I started seeing people like your mother, as if they were less important, as if their work defined their worth. Mama Ngozi felt tears welling up. She had never expected to hear those words. When I saw you that day, Chief Olumide continued, speaking directly to Emeka, I just saw a boy getting in the way. I didn't see a person with dreams, with talent, with a loving family, and that says something terrible about who I had become. And now? And now? Emeka asked. Now, I see a boy more intelligent than all my executives combined. I see someone who taught me the most important lesson of my life. That character has nothing to do with money or social standing. Mr. Adekunle, observing quietly, felt a lump in his throat. In 20 years of friendship, he'd never seen Olumide so vulnerable. Notary Adekunle cleared his throat. Chief Olumide, do you wish to formalize any agreement? Chief Olumide slowly stood, walked to his briefcase, and produced a large envelope. His hands trembled slightly as he placed it on the table before Emeka. These are the bearer bonds, he said. 100 million naira, as promised. They are yours. No conditions, no tricks, no fine print. Emeka stared at the envelope as if it were an alien object. Mama Ngozi covered her mouth, tears flowing freely. Carlos had to sit down, his bad leg trembling with emotion. But there's something more I want to do. Chief Olumide produced another document. I contacted the National Technological Institute. I want to establish a full educational fund for Emeka. Not just secondary school, but university, master's, doctorate, whatever he wants to study. All paid for. Why? Mama Ngozi asked, her voice a whisper. You're already giving us the 100 million. You don't have to do anything more. Yes, I do, Chief Olumide replied firmly. Because I saw the videos of people commenting on your son. I saw teachers saying he's a genius. I saw the potential I almost dismissed. And I want to ensure that talent isn't wasted due to lack of resources. That is very generous, Carlos said, still processing. But why should we trust you? You shouldn't, Chief Olumide admitted. That's why Notary Adekunle will register everything legally. The educational fund will be in an independent trust, managed by Mr. Adekunle and 2 representatives from the institute. I will have no control over the money, only the obligation to fund it. The notary nodded. I can confirm I've reviewed the documents. They are legally binding and irrevocable. Emeka looked at Chief Olumide, his expression unreadable. Not gratitude exactly, but something more complex. A child processing how an adult could be so cruel, then so generous. Chief Olumide, Emeka spoke clearly. Are you truly sorry, or just afraid of what people will say? The question was devastatingly direct. Everyone froze, awaiting the answer. Chief Olumide knelt to Emeka's level. Both, he admitted with brutal honesty. I fear losing my company, yes. But I am also truly sorry because I saw old photos of my mother cleaning houses, and I realized I was treating you as others probably treated her, and that broke my heart. Your mother also cleaned houses? Emeka asked, his hostility softening. Yes, for 20 years, so I could study and have a better life. And I forgot that. It was the worst mistake of my life. Emeka looked to his mother for guidance. Mama Ngozi nodded almost imperceptibly, giving him permission. I accept your apology, Emeka finally said. And I accept the money because you promised it, and we need it. But I want you to know something. What? That I will never forget where I come from. No matter how much money I have, I will always remember that my mother cleaned floors and my father sold puff-puff at traffic lights, because they taught me that honest work is dignified, no matter what it is. Emeka's words resonated like bells. Chief Olumide felt tears running down his face, no longer ashamed. You are wiser at 11 than I am at 45, he said, his voice choked. I wish I could turn back time and treat you with the respect you deserved from the beginning. You can't turn back time, Emeka replied with maturity beyond his years. But you can do things right from now on. Mama Ngozi finally approached the table, her hands trembling as she took the envelope. Inside were the bonds, each certified and validated. 100 million naira, more money than they had seen in their combined lifetimes. This will change our lives, she murmured, barely believing it was real. It already has, Mr. Adekunle spoke. It changed everything for everyone present. Notary Adekunle began preparing the final documents, contracts, certifications, seals. The process took nearly an hour, during which the 2 families remained, the air gradually lightening. Mama Ngozi, Chief Olumide spoke as they waited. I want to offer you something more. More? Mama Ngozi looked at him with renewed suspicion. A real job in my company, not cleaning, but in human resources, as an employee welfare advisor. Someone who ensures workers are treated with dignity. Mama Ngozi blinked. But I have no education for that. You have something better. Experience. You know how it feels to be invisible, to be looked down upon. That makes you perfect for the position, and we'll pay for any training you need. Carlos squeezed his wife's hand. It's your decision, my love. Mama Ngozi looked at Chief Olumide, searching for deception, but saw sincerity. Tired, imperfect, but real. I'll think about it, she finally said. But if I accept, it will be because I want to do that job well, not out of charity. I wouldn't expect less, Chief Olumide replied. When the documents were ready, Notary Adekunle presented them. Transfer of bonds, establishment of the educational trust, terms of Mama Ngozi's potential employment. All signed, sealed, certified. It is done, he announced. It is official and legally binding. Emeka was now officially the owner of 100 million naira. His education was guaranteed. His mother had a real job offer that could change their family's trajectory. May I say something? Mr. Adekunle asked. As all nodded, he continued. I've worked with Olumide for 20 years. I've seen him at his worst and his best, but never had I seen him learn such an important lesson. What lesson? Emeka asked. That true success isn't measured in money, but in how we treat people, especially those who cannot defend themselves. Chief Olumide nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. As they left the notary's office, the sun began to set. Outside, a small group of journalists waited, maintaining a respectful distance. Are you making statements? A reporter shouted. Chief Olumide looked at Mama Ngozi, who nodded. Together, with Emeka between them, they walked towards the cameras. Justice was served today, Chief Olumide said into the microphones. I fulfilled my promise to Emeka and his family, but more importantly, I learned I had forgotten my roots and lost my moral compass. That boy taught me more in a week than I learned in 20 years of business. How does it feel, Emeka? A reporter asked. Emeka thought for a moment. I feel happy that he kept his word, and I hope other adults will also learn to keep their promises. The cameras captured the moment, and old boy standing between his family and a repentant businessman, teaching the world about integrity. That night, the videos of reconciliation went viral, but this time the comments were different. Faith in humanity restored. This boy is the future of our country. Chief Olumide proved people can change. Rosa and Carlos raised an exceptional son. In their small compound, the Silva family sat together at their table, the bonds safely hidden. What will we do with all this money? Carlos asked, still processing. First, pay off all our debts, Mama Ngozi said practically. Second, get a better place to live. Third, ensure Emeka has everything he needs for his education. And after that? Emeka asked. After that, Carlos said, we live with dignity, never forgetting where we come from, as I promised Chief Olumide, Emeka added. Exactly as you promised him. In his penthouse, Chief Olumide looked at the city lights, but with different feelings. He had lost 100 million naira, nearly lost his company, been publicly humiliated, but he had gained something he didn't know he needed. A second chance to be the person his mother had raised him to be, someone who respected honest work, valued character over money, and understood that everyone deserves dignity. His phone rang. It was his sister, Gabriela. I saw today's videos, she said. Mother would be proud. Those 4 words were worth more than any fortune. The story was far from over, but its true impact was just beginning to unfold. The next morning dawned differently for the Silva family. For the first time in years, Mama Ngozi woke without the knot of anxiety about paying bills. Sunlight streamed through their small window, brightening the world. Carlos was already awake, at the kitchen table, looking at the notary's documents, his calloused hands trembling. You can't sleep, Mama Ngozi said, placing a hand on his shoulder. I was thinking of all we can do now, Carlos replied, his voice thick with emotion. My surgery, a place with Emeka's own room, buying medicine without choosing which illness to treat this month. Mama Ngozi sat beside him, intertwining their fingers. We'll do it all, but slowly, wisely. Do you know what excites me most? Carlos looked at her, eyes bright. Emeka will have the opportunities we never did. He'll study, develop that incredible talent. He'll be someone great. He already is someone great, Mama Ngozi corrected softly. Yesterday, he taught a millionaire what dignity means. That's bigger than any university degree. Emeka appeared at his bedroom door, still in pajamas, his hair tousled. Mama, Papa, did yesterday really happen, or did I dream it? Mama Ngozi opened her arms, and her son ran to them. The 3 embraced in the tiny kitchen, tears of relief flowing. It really happened, my love, Mama Ngozi whispered, and now everything will change. In the following weeks, change was evident. The Silva family moved to a modest but decent apartment in a safe neighborhood. Not a mansion, but 3 rooms, reliable hot water, and a small area where Emeka could study. On moving day, Emeka marveled at having his own space. Mama, look, I have a desk, he shouted from his new room, where Mama Ngozi had placed a simple wooden desk and lamp. Carlos underwent the surgery he'd needed since the accident. The procedure was successful, and though physiotherapy was required, doctors assured him he'd eventually walk without a cane. The first time he took unsupported steps, with Mama Ngozi and Emeka watching, all 3 wept. Mama Ngozi accepted the position at Olumide Holdings, but not before setting clear conditions. I don't want special treatment, she told Chief Olumide in their first formal meeting. I want to work, learn, and earn respect. I wouldn't expect less, Chief Olumide replied, his smile genuine. Her first day was daunting. She arrived early, checking her new professional attire, a simple, dignified suit, comfortable yet formal shoes. Bola greeted her with a warm smile. Welcome to the team, Mama Ngozi, but now as a colleague, not a cleaner. I still can't believe it. Believe it, Bola said. And prepare yourself, because Chief Olumide wants you to oversee an important project. The project was a welfare program for all entry-level employees. Better schedules, subsidized healthcare, training opportunities. Mama Ngozi worked alongside HR specialists, contributing her invaluable perspective. We need to include support for single parents, she suggested in a meeting, recalling the time she had to choose between work and caring for Emeka when he was sick. Excellent point, the head of HR noted. What else have you observed we could improve? To Mama Ngozi's surprise, her voice mattered. Her ideas were heard, implemented, valued, not out of charity, but because they had real merit. Emeka, meanwhile, began the Gifted Students program at the National Technological Institute. The first day was overwhelming. Other children came from affluent families, with professors or scientists for parents. Emeka was the only one who had learned advanced math while cleaning offices. "I don't belong here," he told Mama Ngozi that night, tears of frustration in his eyes. "The other children talk about books I've never read, places I've never visited." Mama Ngozi sat beside him on his new bed. Emeka, who opened a safe that executives with master's degrees couldn't. "Me," he murmured. "And who taught those arrogant adults about humility and dignity? You. So yes, you belong here. You just have different experiences, not inferior ones. Your experiences make you unique." Mr. Adekunle, now formally supervising Emeka's education, reinforced this message. "Your perspective is valuable precisely because it's different," he'd say. "You see problems others don't because you've lived realities they only read about." Gradually, Emeka found his place. When a peer struggled with algebra, Emeka explained using real-life examples. When discussing social issues, Emeka offered insights only someone who had experienced poverty could provide. "It's fascinating working with him," the program director told Mr. Adekunle during an evaluation. "He has exceptional mathematical intelligence, yes, but also an emotional intelligence rarely seen in children his age. He's had to grow up fast. Difficulties can destroy or strengthen," Mr. Adekunle replied with pride. In Emeka's case, they strengthened him. Chief Olumide, facing his own transformation, saw the media crisis become an unexpected opportunity. After fulfilling his promise to Emeka, he began examining his company's practices with new eyes. "How much do we pay our cleaning staff?" he asked in an executive meeting, surprising everyone. "Minimum wage," the HR head replied. "And you think that's enough to live with dignity?" An uncomfortable silence filled the room. No one had questioned that before. "I want salary reviews for all basic-level employees," Chief Olumide ordered. "Cleaning, security, maintenance, cafeteria, everyone. And I want them increased to a level where a person can support a family without working 3 jobs." "Sir, that will cost millions," the CFO protested. "And we'll do it anyway. Budget it into next quarter's increase." Mr. Adekunle smiled discreetly. The man he'd known 20 years ago was returning, but improved by the lessons learned. News of the change at Olumide Holdings spread. Other companies began questioning their practices. Chief Olumide was invited to speak at a leadership conference. "For 20 years, I built an empire. He began before hundreds of executives, but I forgot to build my humanity. And one year, old boy reminded me of something my mother taught me decades ago, that every person deserves respect, regardless of their job or bank account." The audience listened in silence. When I humiliated Emeka Silva, I disrespected him, his mother who worked harder than I ever have, all honest workers who keep our companies running, and myself by forgetting where I came from. His voice cracked. "I share this not to clear my image, but because I believe many of us have forgotten the same lesson. It's easy to see numbers on spreadsheets and forget each number represents a person with a family, dreams, dignity." After the conference, several executives approached. "My grandfather started as a factory worker," one confessed. "I built this company on his sacrifice, but somewhere along the line, I forgot. Your story reminded me I need to reconnect with those values." One afternoon, Bola knocked on Chief Olumide's door, her expression serious. "Sir, someone is here to see you. No appointment, but I think you should receive him." "Who is it?" "Emeka Silva." Chief Olumide stood immediately. "Show him in." Emeka entered, now dressed in the institute's uniform, carrying a backpack. He looked different, more confident, happier, yet still humble. "Chief Olumide," he greeted formally. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all." "Emeka, sit, please. Would you like something to drink?" "No, thank you. I just came to deliver something." The boy produced a meticulously organized project from his backpack, a complex mathematical analysis of resource distribution in companies. "I did this project on your company," Emeka explained. "My teacher asked me to analyze a real organization." Chief Olumide scanned the project, impressed. "This is incredibly detailed. I found some areas where efficiency could be improved." Emeka pointed to certain pages, particularly in budget allocation for employee training. "With the mathematical models I learned, I calculated that investing 15% more in training could increase productivity by 25% in 2 years." Chief Olumide read the projections, fascinated. The analysis was sophisticated, backed by solid data and impeccable math. "May I keep this?" he asked. "I'd like to show it to my strategic planning team." "That's why I brought it," Emeka smiled. "Emeka, Chief Olumide closed the folder, looking at the boy directly. May I ask you something personal? Of course. Did you truly forgive me? Or did you just say yes because it was polite? Emeka thought carefully. At first, I didn't know if I had forgiven you. I was confused and hurt. But my mother told me something important. What? That forgiving doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing not to let it make you bitter. You hurt me, yes, but you also kept your word and are trying to be better. That deserves recognition. You are wiser than most adults I know. I just learned from good people, Emeka shrugged. My mama, my papa, Mr. Adekunle. They taught me everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how we respond. Chief Olumide felt the familiar sting of tears, but no longer felt shame. Thank you, Emeka, for giving me a second chance to do things right. Thank you for taking it. When Emeka left, Chief Olumide sat looking at the project, then at the empty safe. And 1 year, old boy had done an analysis rivaling expensive consultants. But more than that boy had taught him something no consultant could. True leadership comes not from authority, but from character. The story was far from over, but it had already changed lives in ways no one could have predicted. Months transformed not only the individuals but the community. The story of Emeka and Chief Olumide became a symbol of genuine change. The welfare program Mama Ngozi helped design became a model for other companies. Business magazines wrote articles on the Emeka effect, the idea that treating employees with dignity was not only moral but economically smart. Turnover rates dropped by 40%. Mr. Adekunle showed Chief Olumide the quarterly reports. Productivity increased. And look at this, he said. Job applications tripled. People want to work for a company that values them. All thanks to a boy who taught me what I had forgotten, Chief Olumide replied. Looking at the city he once dominated with arrogance, and now tried to serve with humility. At the institute, Emeka excelled, becoming a mentor to other students. When a shy boy from a poor family joined, Emeka was the first to approach. Is it your first day? He asked kindly. The boy nodded nervously. I don't know if I belong here. Everyone seems so smart. I thought the same when I arrived. Emeka sat beside him. You know what I learned? Being smart has nothing to do with where you come from. It's about never stopping learning. Really. Besides, everyone here is learning. Nobody was born knowing differential equations. Mr. Adekunle observed from his office doorway, smiling with pride. Emeka had not only developed his extraordinary talent, but retained the humility and empathy that made him special. During a school ceremony where Emeka received an award for academic excellence, he asked to say a few words. Before a packed auditorium, the 1-year-old stood at the microphone. This award is important to me, he began, his voice firm, but not for the reasons you might think. It's important because it shows that where you come from doesn't determine where you can go. Emeka looked for his parents. Mama Ngozi was in tears. Carlos stood tall, without his cane, the first time at a school event. A while ago, my mother cleaned houses so I could eat. My father sold puff-puff for medicine, and I helped them because that's what families do. They support each other. Several parents exchanged uncomfortable glances. Someone humiliated me for that, Emeka continued, without bitterness, only honesty. They made me feel small because my clothes were patched and my hands were dirty from cleaning. But that experience taught me something valuable. What did it teach you? A boy asked from the audience. Breaking protocol. It taught me that dignity doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. My mother always had dignity, even on her knees cleaning. My father always had dignity, even when people passed him by without seeing him. And I always had value, even when others couldn't see it. The auditorium erupted in applause, a deep recognition of truth. When Emeka left the stage, the institute's director intercepted him. That was the most impactful speech I've heard in 30 years of education, she said, eyes bright. Can I share it on our official channels? Only if you promise the message reaches other children who think they aren't enough, Emeka replied. I promise. The video of Emeka's speech went viral again, this time for different reasons. Comments praised his wisdom, his parents' upbringing, his story of dignity. In his office, Chief Olumide watched the video. And again, he wept, tears of gratitude for the chance to learn from someone so special. Bola entered. Did you see Emeka's video? I did. That boy is extraordinary. He is. And in part, he is extraordinary because you gave him the opportunity to shine. No, Chief Olumide corrected. I almost destroyed that opportunity. It was his mother, his father, Mr. Adekunle, and above all, his own character that made him shine. I was just lucky he taught me something in the process. But you learned and changed. That counts too. Chief Olumide thought. Bola, I want to do something more. What? I want to create a foundation for children, like Emeka. Children with extraordinary talent but no resources. I don't want anyone else to have to wait for an arrogant businessman to make a cruel bet for their chance. Bola smiled widely. That would be incredible. What would you call it? Dignity Foundation, because that's what I learned. Everyone deserves the chance to develop their potential with dignity. One afternoon, Chief Olumide invited the Silva family to his office for a meeting, but when they arrived, the conference room was filled with people. Mr. Adekunle, Bola, Mr. Adekunle, employees, even reporters. What's happening? Mama Ngozi asked, confused. I wanted everyone here for this announcement, Chief Olumide explained. Because everyone was part of this transformation. He pressed a button on the remote, and a presentation appeared. Dignity Foundation, read the title. With support from Mr. Adekunle and supervision from Mr. Adekunle, we have created an educational foundation. Chief Olumide explained the plan. Scholarships, mentorships, family support. But there's something more, he continued, looking directly at Emeka. We need a youth director for the foundation. Someone who understands what these children go through because they lived it themselves. Someone who can be an example and mentor. A youth director? Emeka asked, confused. You, Emeka. We want you to be the face of this foundation, to tell your story, to help identify other brilliant children, to show them change is possible. Emeka looked to his parents. Mama Ngozi had her hands over her mouth, tears flowing. Carlos nodded vigorously, his own tears falling. But I'm only 11, Emeka pointed out. And that's exactly why your perspective is valuable, Mr. Adekunle interjected. Children will trust you in a way they'll never trust adults. You don't have to decide now, Chief Olumide added. Take all the time you need, but know that your story has already changed many lives. Imagine how many more you could impact. That night, in their now warm and hopeful apartment, the Silva family sat together. What do you think, son? Carlos asked. I think it's a lot of responsibility, Emeka admitted. But I also think about all the children who are where I was, cleaning with their moms, feeling invisible, believing they aren't enough. And what do you want to tell them? Mama Ngozi asked softly. That they are enough, that their value doesn't depend on their clothes or money, that intelligence and talent can be found anywhere, even in places people don't think to look. Carlos hugged his son. Then you know your answer. Yes, I want to do it. I want to help. The official launch of the Dignity Foundation was a national event, but the most impactful moment came when Emeka took the stage. My name is Emeka Silva, he began, his voice amplified, his message amplified by authenticity. Months ago, he was cleaning floors. He narrated his story honestly, speaking of his mother's hard work, his father's struggle, his own fight for hope. Someone humiliated me, he said, without naming Chief Olumide directly. But that humiliation became an opportunity. Not because humiliation is good, but because people can choose to learn and change. Chief Olumide, in the front row, felt each word. This foundation exists, so other children don't have to wait for humiliation to get their chance. Emeka continued. It exists to tell them their talent matters, their future matters, they matter. The applause was deafening, but more importantly, tears streamed down the faces of mothers who cleaned houses, fathers who worked construction, children who saw themselves in Emeka's story. After the event, a woman shyly approached Mama Ngozi. Madam Silva, I clean houses too. My son is 10 and very good with numbers. This foundation can truly help him. Mama Ngozi took the woman's hands. Yes, it truly can. Give me your details. I will personally ensure he is evaluated. Mama Ngozi had accepted a role, community outreach coordinator. Who better than someone who had lived that reality to connect with families still living it? One quiet afternoon, Emeka and Chief Olumide met again in the office where it all began. The safe, empty, sat as a reminder. Do you know what's the most ironic thing? Chief Olumide asked Emeka. What? I bet 100 million naira thinking it was impossible for you to lose. I lost that 100 million, but I gained something worth far more. What did you gain? I regained my humanity. I gained the respect of my employees, purpose, and a friend who constantly teaches me how to be a better person. Emeka smiled. I gained important things too. Like what? I learned that justice sometimes does exist. I learned that people can change if they truly want to, and I learned that my voice matters, even when I'm the smallest in the room. Your voice always mattered, Emeka. I was just too arrogant to listen at first. They fell into a comfortable silence, looking out at the city. Chief Olumide, Emeka broke the silence. There's something I never asked. What? What would have happened if I couldn't open the safe? Would you have humiliated me further? Chief Olumide sighed. Honestly, I don't know. The man I was then, probably yes. But I'm glad I didn't have to find out, because by losing that bet, I gained the chance to become someone better. We all deserve second chances, Emeka said with wisdom beyond his years. Yes, and thank you for giving me mine. The first anniversary of Emeka opening the safe was special. The Dignity Foundation had awarded full scholarships to 50 children in its first year. 23 companies had adopted Olumide Holdings' welfare model. Mama Ngozi had helped 30 families access educational resources. Emeka, now 12, remained humble but confident. Asked to speak, he looked at his parents, Chief Olumide, Mr. Adekunle. A year ago, he began, a man offered me 100 million naira to open a safe. He thought he was making a cruel joke. He didn't know he was opening something far more important. He paused. I didn't just open a safe that day. I opened a conversation about dignity, respect, and the value of every person, regardless of their job or origin. And that conversation changed lives, including mine. He looked directly at the cameras. To every child watching, if someone makes you feel small for your clothes, your home, your parents' jobs, remember, your value isn't defined by others. It's defined by your actions, your character, your heart. To every adult watching, never underestimate someone by their appearance. The next genius, leader, world changer might be cleaning your office, selling puff-puff, or serving your coffee. Treat them with the dignity they deserve. Applause filled the auditorium. Chief Olumide wept openly, clapping for the boy who transformed his life. Mama Ngozi hugged Carlos, tears of joy flowing. Mr. Adekunle smiled, recognizing how a 11-year-old boy had done more for corporate culture than decades of consultants. Mr. Adekunle beamed, knowing Emeka's talent had surpassed even his highest expectations. And in homes across the country, mothers cleaning houses hugged their children tighter. Fathers working humble jobs sat taller. Children who felt invisible began to believe they, too, had value. Because if a barefoot boy in patched shorts could open a safe, if he could teach humility to a millionaire, if he could change a national conversation, then anything was possible. And that was the true treasure Emeka found that day. Not 100 million naira, but the understanding that his voice mattered, his story held power, and his existence made a difference. The safe had been just the beginning. The real treasure was the change it generated in hearts, minds, and lives.